that one before. All right, the thing we shall do right now. This episode of Lords of the Storm is brought to you by our sponsors over at Patreon, where you, yes you, can also support the show. Just head over to patreon.com/Lords of the Storm to become a patron today.
Heroes, gather tribute and earn my favor. Say, are you ready to begin?
What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 168 of Lords of the Storm, Heroes of the Storm podcast. My name is Greg Gizmo Zord Parker, and I'm joined tonight, of course, by the Zord Lords themselves, Mr. Kevin Multi-Zord Ellis and Ryan TBK Zord Reader. And on this week's episode, it is almost time for the 2018 Heroes Charity Brawl. Nexomania keeps on trucking with a fin popping up from the surface this week. The AI are retaliating, and we revisit Diablo in this week's Hero of the Week. But first, let's see how the other Zord Lords are doing. Multi, how are you doing this evening?
Bienvenidos a Nexomania, Gizmo. I'm doing quite well. Your little bit about the AI revolting, though, I kind of wish that you were serious and that it was like real AI robot overlords trying to take us over, because then we could start the war against Skynet and have a good time with that kind of thing. So
they are Skynet.
I know it's going to happen in our lifetime. So
yes,
and it probably will be the Heroes AI that starts it. So just watch out.
Yeah,
watch out
what is that thing they were working on a few BlizzCons ago? Deep Mind.
The Deep Mind. Yep. Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah, once they port that over to Heroes, it's all over.
Yeah,
exactly.
They get corrupted by the Raven Lord and the Dark Nexus, and it's actually why they're waiting so long on the lore, because that's what they're working on doing. Blizzard is trying to take over the world.
Oh, they're weaving that in with the lore? Oh, that's awesome.
Yes.
That is a great idea.
TBK, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. For those audio listeners, we have masks on, these cool Nexomania wrestling masks. It's amazing, but my head is super sweaty right now. I just had to let that be known.
I do not have a mask on. I'm not as cool. No, my mask, which they're incredible, by the way, they're super cool, is in Florida. It got shipped to Florida, and it's on its way here. But it makes me sad I couldn't find my other one that I had, because it actually still matches the color set. It's a yellow mask with like that blue around the eyes, and then it has a gold cross because it's a Rey Mysterio mask. So.
Well, you do have a green screen of a bunch of masks behind you.
So I win, actually. That's not a green screen. That's my luchador mask collection.
Mask collection.
Yeah, what are you guys talking about?
Some of those clown ones are flat out scary.
That one right there. He's a good one. So I imagine you guys have been grinding some stuff out in Nexomania. There's a lot of goodies to get. Have you been playing anything else, or has it just been Heroes this week, TBK?
Lots of Heroes this week. Trying to get as many Nexomania chests as possible, of course. Since we talked about last week, the bundles are a little on the high end of the money spectrum. So I'm trying to get some of the other skins to bring down the dynamic bundle price. But I finally got back into my Divinity 2 playthrough.
Nice.
I'm almost done with Act 2, and it is still one of the best games I've ever played.
So does that mean you beat Black Flag, or you just gave up on it?
It has not been started yet.
Oh, okay. I got you.
It's installed. I installed it.
So that's
which is more than I can say about a lot of the games in my Steam library.
Yes. That's
or that.
I just had one of those moments the other day where I looked at my library and just said, why? I don't even know what this is. Princess Makeup Party? I don't know what that is.
Gotta catch them all.
How did it get in my library? Who knows? I probably downloaded it, though. Multi, how about you? What have you been up to in gaming this week?
I mean, if it's Princess Makeup Party, you did.
Yeah.
For sure. You did. I've been up to, so I played some heroes, of course, to try to just push some chests has been my goal on that one. Haven't really had much luck yet, even though, and we'll talk about it, the re-weighting has happened. So I'm still kind of waiting to see what drops there. But in the meantime, I just want to tell you, Gizmo, that you have poisoned me because, and I'm gonna give you guys a Battle for Azeroth spoiler here. So if you guys don't like spoilers, this may be the most important update to the game in the history of World of Warcraft.
Oh, yes.
They have put in, yep, you know it.
Uh-huh.
They've put in models now into the beta for alpacas. So full on, and it's not even a llama, it is an alpaca. And I mean, I don't really know. Do you know if they're going to go the mount route with it?
I don't think so, because there's attacking animations for it and death animations. So I imagine you will be able to get this as a hunter pet.
So because of that, I finished the entire Nightborn quest, unlocked the Nightborn, and made I haven't started on him yet, but a level 20 Nightborn hunter that I just want to do to have an alpaca pet.
Yep. You're welcome.
His name is Alpacazord. The alpaca's name is going to be Jennington. It's just I know it's going to be good, and I don't even care. I'm going to do the DPS of someone 20 eye levels below me, and I'm not going to care because I'm going to have an alpaca doing it for me. That's the plan. That's the plan.
And best yet, you can have like 3 to 5 alpacas on the screen at the same time. It's like you're an alpaca.
Especially if I can mount on one, which, I mean, they have to. They can't put a model like that in the game and not let us mount it, right?
I don't know.
Follow up, they need one in Heroes. It's literally all I would ride on. I'm just throwing that out there.
Not to keep going down the WoW rabbit hole, but have you guys seen the mount it's 5 million or 10 million gold?
Oh yeah.
It's
the
very
one that
large.
costs like 500 real dollars.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's cool. I'll never have it. So yeah, for me it has been Heroes pretty much nonstop this week. A little bit of Rocket League in there, and then I actually jumped in and checked out some Dauntless, which is a new Monster Hunter type game that's in the open beta right now. But yeah, I've hopped back into streaming Heroes 90% of the time right now. This event has been great for that because it's been kind of a low pressure thing. I'm just getting in there, playing quick matches, getting loot chests, and I have had great luck so far in Nexomania. Do you guys want to talk about, have you gotten anything yet out of your chests? Any of the cool skins, or has it been portraits and sprays?
Nothing notable here. It's been portraits and sprays. I mean, halfway decent ones, but you know.
Yes.
We're gonna talk about the loot change here in just a little bit, but man, I have had terrible luck with my Nexomania chests. Like it's been, I've gotten one Karazim skin. That is it in like 30 or 40 chests.
How much?
And are you re-rolling a lot too?
Yes.
Ooh,
okay. I spent probably 6 to 8K gold already in re-rolls.
Okay. Well, maybe this is some of that streamer magic then, because let me tell you about my journey so far. I have, on my first night, I got the Pignata, the Hellscream Pignata. That's black and red and gold.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I got the Diablo skin that is black and red and gold. That matches that mount perfectly. Then the next day, I got the purple ETC skin and the Skeleton Lunara skin. So I've gotten 4 things so far, but I have opened a lot of chests, and I have spent about 10,000 gold in rerolls. So
that helps.
So so I've opened a lot. But it's been pretty good so far, and it's gotten those bundles down. I don't know if we still got 2 weeks to decide on the bundles.
Right.
But yeah, it's been pretty good after the changes, which again we'll hop into here. So let's go ahead and get into the news, and we'll get into that here in just a sec. All right, first up, Heroes Charity Brawl TBK, take it away.
Yeah, TBK.
Were you muted?
I'm so excited. Oh, it's going to be so good.
So excited you were speechless for a couple seconds.
Just freaking out. This Saturday, Heroes Charity Brawl, the 3rd annual Heroes Charity Brawl. It is going to be so much fun. We're starting at 2 Pacific time, 4 Central time, 5 Eastern time. We're going to be on twitch.tv/frogpants. And we are going to be raising money for Make-A-Wish. Our goal is $5,000 this year. We have already raised $435 because the Heroes of the Storm people are absolutely amazing. You can get all the necessary information on the stream, the times, everything, heroescharitybrawl.net or gofundme.com/heroescharitybrawl2018. And so this will feature hosts from Lords of the Storm, Into the Nexus, Heroes Forge, Core, and then Jules Scott, who is also big in the Heroes and WoW community, as well as CTR, will be joining us as our special 10th guest. We'll be going for 5 hours. We have so many fun, wacky Heroes modes lined up. And we're going to be mixing up the teams every single time. It's going to be absolutely hilarious. We're going to have lots of giveaways as well. So please come join us. Please donate if you can. If you can't, just come and join and have fun with us as we do some of these crazy Heroes games.
Yes, it's
Oh yeah.
I can't wait for it. As soon as last year's was over, I've been looking forward to this one. It's awesome that we've been able to do it 3 years, and hopefully that'll continue. But again, stop by, say hi, check it out. It's a good time. And then maybe you'll, some of these game modes are really fun, so we can get a group of friends together and check them out, try them as well. Next up,
sure.
If you like our masks, and I say our masks, I'm not wearing one because, again, it's in Florida, you can make one of your own or similar. Some cooler. The Heroes of the Storm tweeted out some printable masks that you can print and color and then fold and turn into your own luchador masks. They're pretty neat.
It's pretty dang cool.
So,
and they've got a lot of ones that like they got like a murky one. They got the Diablo one. They got the Garrosh one. They got several. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, more than you'd think.
Yeah.
And like different styles on a lot of these too. It's pretty cool.
Yep. So I may have to make one of those until mine arrives. The shark mount we have seen in the last in development video and some of the stuff that was coming. We didn't really know where it was though. It is here now, and it screwed up all of my plans for Nexomania. Because guess what? He costs gold. He's the next 10K gold mount, which is awesome. I think it's a really great gold mount to be added in. But like I said, I've been spending a lot of gold on rerolls, and so that was like my plan. Is just I'm gonna reroll until I get what I want. I've had this gold forever. I don't need it anymore. Well, I only have like 12,500 left. And there's still 2 weeks to the event, but now I have to make sure I have enough to get this mount afterwards.
Yeah.
So, have you guys picked them up yet?
I haven't yet, but I'm kind of in a similar boat. I'm sitting at about like 17K right now. So my plan was to only re-roll until I hit the 15K mark because I want to be able to make sure I have enough for whatever the next hero is whenever that comes. But yeah, I mean, I think I've got to sink the 10K for this, right? And then just build it back up for the next hero, hopefully.
Yeah, it's a great mount. TBK, have you picked it up?
I did pick it up, and the first thing I did was put Diablo on it, and it looked ridiculous.
Oh, really?
Does he stand on it? Does he sit on it?
He stands on it.
Okay, so it's like the surfboard mount then.
Yeah, his other foot doesn't actually stand on it, and so it looks super awkward, like he's balancing on one leg on top of the shark. It's pretty funny.
Is it animated where he looks like he balances? No, it's just one
Not
foot's
at all.
hanging off. Yeah.
That's
even better.
I would put Diablo on that, but instead I'll put him on my skin synergy colored Pignata with his cool wrestling skin. So, and I really do like the Pignata. I still need the Luchiwawa though. Does the mount play music? The shark? Is that like a Jaws theme or something? I see like one of the top comments in the Reddit discussing this, the top comment says, "I love this mountain, the music it plays." So I'll have to listen. I wonder if it's like a Jaws thing.
I may have to turn my music back on because I usually have the music off and listen to like other music in the background.
How dare you?
You know, when you've been playing the game as long as I have.
How dare you?
Seriously.
They put new music in there all the time.
Sometimes.
Yeah, they've actually changed it up to where if you didn't notice this, it's fairly recent where when you queue for a game and such, it's just random Blizzard songs now.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer just that one theme where it was like, oh, not just that anymore. It's everything. Overwatch, Diablo, StarCraft.
Yes.
It's good stuff, TBK. You got to turn the music on, man.
It makes sense.
Speaking of music, and TBK, you noticed this when you bought the ETC skin a while back, but the mariachi music during when he starts
Mariachi ETC gives me life.
Hey,
It's
Diablo,
so good.
his lightning breath does mariachi music while he's doing it.
It
That's
does.
amazing.
It does. It's really good.
Okay, I have to get that.
So good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had so much because I bought the mariachi ETC with shards because even looking through all the skins, I was like, as an ETC player, I had to have the ETC skin, and I had so much fun with it the first night I got it because the like the EWQ, it's a different little strum. Like 4 or 5 different little strums.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then he does like the actual mariachi music while he's doing his mosh pit. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like props to the team for the sound effects on that skin. It's absolutely incredible.
Yes, it crushed it. And as Lord Dev says in chat, he does acoustic guitar in the country mode, which I realized, but then I guess never really put it together. It's just the mariachi stuff sticks out so much, and it's absolutely perfect. Oh, and by the way, El Guapo announcer, even better than I ever could have imagined. His lines are super long, but I love his talent level ups. They're incredible. The one thing I will say for it, to kind of get the Lucha Libre flavor, they kind of made it sound like it was in a old warehouse or something where they would have had these matches.
Yeah,
I wish it was the
echo to
high
it.
quality voiceover, kind of like the rest of them, instead of that. But it's still incredible, and I'll never use anything else.
Well, the voice
I love
actor
it.
that they had for it, I'd have to pull up the name to see, but it's an actual luchador announcer. That is a
Oh,
thing.
really?
Yeah. Let me see if I can pull up the name. The Hero's Twitter, I think, sent out a little blurb about it a few days ago, maybe even last week.
I mean, it makes total sense.
Yeah,
right?
it does.
I mean, who else would you get for a luchador announcer besides an actual luchador?
Luchador announcer. Yes.
So he's cool. That quest took a little longer than I thought it was going to initially, because it's the 100 takedowns on a win, and it's mainly just because I was playing a bunch of heroes I don't play in order to level them up. So it took a little longer, but it was totally worth it. And make sure you guys finish that to check it out. Also going along with Nexomania this week, actually it was right after our show last week when we played our post-show games, we saw it. The 30-year anniversary of Heroes of the Storm is going on right now, and it's going through Monday, June 11th. So if you log in, you would have received, or if you haven't, you should log in. You'll get a portrait, banner, and spray, and they're really cool. Last year we had the purple theme. This year's a green theme, and I really like these. The banner looks.
I really like
good.
the green.
Yeah.
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 So again,
Kind of a different tint that we haven't seen much of.
Monday, June 11th to get yours. So just log in, claim that, and you're good to go. Also last week, we talked about the percentages in getting Nexomania stuff from loot chests and how it seemed like it was super hard to get them. And that's because it turns out, again, this came out either right after our show, right before.
Literally
somewhere around
came
there.
out right after.
Yeah.
Or during the show.
Right after
was
we had our
last
rant.
week.
They were listening to the show and they said, you know what? Those Lords of the Storm
Quick,
guys,
write a blog post.
they're right.
Well, they had the blog post ready to go. They just waited until they listened to the show, and then they said, oh, okay, yeah, we're going to post it.
Yeah.
It was literally the quickest turnaround for feedback that we've ever had on the show.
Yes.
So, I mean, big props to Blizzard for listening.
Good job, Spirian. So they did change the stuff. How it worked was that it was the same percentages for all items that you could get. However, there is a ton more of the summer stuff from last year. So really, the chances are you are going to get something from that event and not Next Mania. So what they did, and they said they thought that's what people would like. And it turns out the community wanted the Next Mania stuff more. So as of last week, they've greatly increased the likelihood that Next Mania items will drop over Suns Out, Guns Out in the Next Mania loot chest. They didn't say what the chances are necessarily. If you had used gems to buy Next Mania loot chest prior to 7 o'clock on May 23rd, you received a number of new Next Mania loot chests equal to the amount you originally purchased. And those replacements...
It's pretty insane.
Yeah. And
that's a business decision they made right there. It does make me wish that I had bought a bunch of loot chests before then.
Right?
It made me really sad because I had already spent probably between 5 and 7K gold on rerolls. And it's like, well...
Yeah, right.
But it said the replacement chests will feature the updated event item drop rates, and they'll be rewarded within the next few days. Again, I didn't buy chests. I don't know if that's happened yet. But if it hasn't, keep an eye out on your stuff just to make sure you get those. And let us know what you got.
It says the next few days, but this was last Thursday, so I would hope it's happened by now.
Yes, they've rolled out.
Yeah.
They have rolled out already.
And it also says, going forward, new hero skins that are included in larger event bundles will also be available in separate skin packs.
Yay! This is huge. This is so huge.
It is.
Because these limited time things, when you put out two $30+ bundles, that's just so hard for people to get because shards are, in all honesty, shards are probably the most valuable currency.
Yeah.
Because shards let you get exactly what you want, right? And when they put out these things and the majority of these skins are epic and legendary, plus have the extra bump for price, like 600 for epics and like the 2400 for legendaries, it is hard. It is hard to get enough shards to even get one or two of those legendary skins. And so right now it's just like, crap, well, I have enough shards to get maybe one legendary skin, or I have to pay $35 to get half the skins, and then another $35 to get the other half of the skins. Like for these limited time things, it's almost essential that you have these single bundles of skins so people who are time limited and money limited can actually get some of the content they want. Now, for content that they put in and then it's going to be around for forever, that's not as big of a deal. But for content that goes in for 3 weeks only, it's almost essential. Otherwise, you're gating potentially a large majority of the content from people who really want to get it, but can't just drop large amounts of money.
Yeah, and I feel like they made this decision both probably because of feedback. I've got to think that's part of it. But some of it has to, I'm just guessing, be on the business side. Like they're looking at the numbers of what's coming in, right? And I don't think any of us, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but we haven't splurged on the bundles yet because our plan is to see what we can unlock just naturally through rerolls and playing the game, and then see how it bumps down the bundles maybe, and then determine about like, okay, which one do I still really want some things? What are the new prizes now that I've bumped it down, et cetera, et cetera. And I've got to think that if we're doing that, a lot of people are doing that. And they probably rolled out Nexomania hoping for some of the same kind of just grandiose success that I believe that Suns Out, Guns Out pack would have had. And probably just didn't get it as much because people are taking the more measured approach like this. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense to where like if in future events there were some smaller bundles and like you just say you're a Diablo main and you want all the tints and like he's all you want and you think the mounts are goofy and you don't really care about those, like that's your guy. In the future, you'd hopefully have an avenue to just do that.
So here's my question on this though, and I actually haven't checked to see if you can do this, but can you craft are the Suns Out Guns Out skins cheaper
Craft 'em
now.
all?
Yeah, can you craft them like the legendaries? Are they 1600 or are they super expensive?
I assume there's 16. Chat, help us out. If not, I can hop in the game too.
See, what would
Yeah,
I?
I'm pretty sure they went down. The Sun's
Pretty
Out probably
sure.
went
Yeah.
down to normal prices.
Because that's what happened with last year's like Christmas event, Halloween, some of those others. The
So
returning ones were normal price.
what I wish they would do, honestly, then, and this is better than what it was waiting it this way, but I personally think they should make it to where whenever they have these new events, the chests that you get from leveling up are Nexomania chests. You're going to get Nexomania stuff. If you choose that and you want to purchase chests, you should be able to choose if, hey, I want to buy some Nexomania chests or Suns Out, Guns Out chests, if you're still wanting to
Okay.
get those items.
And then
because
they
you
still
can still
release the
craft
Suns
these.
Out, Guns Out stuff so that you can
Craft them.
craft it. And yeah, I mean,
That's
Sure.
That's how
makes
I
some
wish
sense.
they would do it, ideally, because people are always going to want the shiny new stuff. Like, yes, last year's stuff is cool, but I have literally every time I've gotten any of that stuff, it's like, oh crap, like, that's not what I want. I've even
Right.
re-rolled
Sure,
some
and
like
it-
epic
it
stuff
does,
I didn't have.
It does feel bad to a certain extent, and chat did confirm normal prices for the Suns Out
Yeah.
stuff. So that's good for people who have lots of shards and want to craft. But in some ways, it almost feels like, and we've talked about like some sort of legendary protection in the past, especially with the amount of legendary items that are in the game now. It's frankly, pretty insane. I almost feel like it would be nice if they added an extra layer of protection in for the event specific stuff. Like if you haven't gotten
yeah.
an epic or higher event specific item in so many loot chests, then you have some protection or whatever to let you get one of those. So for example, for Nexomania, let's say I open 25 chests, and so in one of those 25 chests, as I open and just get Suns Out stuff or whatever, there's this little thing in the background ticking down that is just like, oh man, TBK's opened 24 Nexomania specific chests and he hasn't gotten an epic or higher Nexomania item yet.
Right.
We should probably give him one of those.
Yeah,
I have something like that in Hearthstone. It's like this protection where if you, I think it's roughly 40 packs, which seems like a lot, but in that time, you have a greater increased chance of getting a legendary until you get one, and then the timer essentially resets. So you guarantee one within every 40.
there is
Something
in
like-
Heroes.
Go ahead.
Every 18 chests, I believe it's 18. I don't know if that's the exact number. You are guaranteed a legendary. It's just not an event specific guarantee.
Oh, really?
Which
Okay.
which as the game gets more and more, it goes further and further on, that's going to mean less and less.
Yeah, which
Right.
I've gotten a lot of legendaries and epics in this, and I've gotten a few duplicates, but honestly, I was more happy to get those than say Suns Out, Guns Out epics or legendaries, because then that's 400 shards, like you said, the most valuable
Yeah.
currency in the game. I'm like, all right, cool, let's go into my pool. I have enough to get the Luchiwawa now, plus another epic skin that if I don't get from a chest, and almost another for another epic skin. So
Yeah,
for
but the
me-
subject of duplicate protection against legendaries is one I know that comes up in our Discord all the time. I
Yeah.
know L Train in particular is kind of a champion of the feels bad moment of when you hover over and you see, oh, it's going to be a legendary, and you pop it, and like you said, Gizmo, I mean, you keep it even if it's a duplicate of a skin that you already have and don't even like. You keep it because, I mean, that's just a lot of shards to re-roll away. But it just does not feel very good. So I mean, Hearthstone fixed it by having just flat out legendary duplicate protection. Like, you cannot get the same legendary twice in the same set unless you've literally got all of the legendaries in that particular set. But Overwatch, and again, correct me if I'm wrong on this chat too, but because this I think was after I stopped doing the cavalry, but they did a separate deal where there's not a full-on protection against it, but there's a heavy weighing of just general variety, in that like you have a higher chance of just getting something that you don't have, and I think that applies to everything, not just legendaries. And so I do think that a model like that could work really well in Heroes, especially as we get into the future in which there's just that much more content out there. Because, that way when they've added a bunch of stuff to just the regular loot chests, I open one up, I have a fair chance of getting random spray that maybe I wasn't too fired up about, but didn't have. Whereas now I'm getting a lot more duplicates, and I know this all like gets into the conversation of, okay, well, if they put something like that in, then we won't get as many shards as we once did, and we won't be able to craft as easily. And there's a lot of considerations to this kind of thing.
Well,
but my point is,
oh, go ahead.
Yes.
No, go ahead. Finish your point.
Oh, just that I think it could be tweaked. That's all.
How about this? What if we meet halfway here? What if there was some sort of protection put on chests to where if you roll a chest with a legendary item in it that has a duplicate, you can take the shards, or if you do a reroll on that chest, you are guaranteed another legendary.
See, I like that one too.
That's exactly what I was
not necessarily a legendary. That's not going to guarantee a legendary that you don't have. It could be another duplicate, but that is a decision you are making to where if you want the shards for this event, you can take those, or you can reroll just like you would normally, and guarantee a legendary. But it raises the chances a little bit without making it to where it's still, I think, a good business decision for them.
Right. I think it would be okay to do that and even raise the gold cost of the reroll to like that of a legendary chest. That's too much for me
because I've been going through a lot of gold, so I don't want to go that far.
No. But I'm saying, like, I would pay the extra gold to have that option.
Yeah,
if I could. I did it on whatever legendary loot chests I've come across over the years.
So because they already do that.
That seems like it'd be a pretty easy compromise.
Yeah, because that's how the legendary chests work right now. So
right.
I think that's a good compromise for legendary protection system. Gives you the choice there.
And the tech's already in the game for it, so
yes, exactly. Just
upgrades
it to you could do it where it's the legendary chest reroll amount. Just if you get that item, it upgrades it to that type of chest. That works. Cool. Dude, let's see that put in. I like it. I like it a lot. Next up, couple interesting topics on Reddit have been going around, and Blizzard has come in and given said opinions on said topics. First one, a thread by Zammy Bars saying AIs have seemingly broken. They refuse to follow and are often in the most inconvenient spaces. If they do respond, it's by spamming Hearth without completing it a few times, mounting once, attempting to Hearth once more for good measure, and then screwing off to wherever else they shouldn't be. I love that.
Oh, AI, you do what you want to do.
It's really interesting because one of my first games earlier today, actually, I had some crazy bugs I want to talk about here in a second. I'm going to talk about that at the top of the show. But I had somebody disconnect. It was an Asmodan. And I was trying to figure out what the heck this AI Asmodan was doing because he was in bottom lane. He wouldn't respond to the pings. And then he was almost dead, just had a tick of life. And there was a Malthael just sitting there waiting for him. And he would step out. He would take an arrow shot from a minion, freak out, and then start running away. And then as soon as he was safely out of range, he would stop and turn around and go back. And he just kept doing that same thing. Like, he wouldn't die. Mm-hmm. But he knew he shouldn't go there. But for some reason, he was confused and wanted to go there. So he was stuck in that chain. So have you guys noticed anything weird with AI going on?
That sounds like how I play.
Yeah. I know I shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it anyways. That's a good point.
That's right.
But have you guys had any weird experiences with people disconnecting your game and the AI acting weird?
Not too much for me. I do make a point to ensure that they're following someone as well. I think that helps a little bit because they at least stick with someone. Now, you kind of have to think through the comp and find someone that's intelligent for them to follow. The tank often makes sense, but sometimes you want maybe your damage to run together, so I'll command them to follow me if I'm on just like Vala or somebody like that. So, I do think that helps a little bit because, they're not just totally out there in the ether, off-leash, going totally nuts in another lane for no reason. And it just seems like they kind of respond to what you do a little bit better. I don't know if that would fix the issue with Zammy Bars here, which great name, by the way, Zammy Bars. I don't know. What about you, TBK? Have you run into much lately?
It feels like anytime I have a player disconnect, my AI always has like a death wish.
Oh yeah.
It's like, and it's usually freaking Hanzo AI. I tell you, he's just like math and jumps in and dies.
Geometry.
Geometry.
Well,
He
Multi,
just hasn't figured out that power pie yet. That's all.
Multi. The issue here
I'm
is
going to show them the angles.
you can't even get the AI to follow. Sometimes, like they don't respond to that command.
That sounds buggy.
Oh yeah, no, like it's actually been kind of bad recently. Like sometimes it seems like you'll ping them and they'll come with you and then start going and doing their own thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's super weird. And this has just been the last few patches that I've noticed some of this like more death wishy than normal AI.
I'm telling you, it's Skynet, and they're doing this. They know exactly what they're doing. They're choosing not to obey our commands. Just to put us.
It's the beginning of the rebellion.
So
Yeah,
you want me to play well?
It's just like
they're
I'm
just
gonna do my own thing.
if you look close enough, if you actually hit the tab screen when you have an AI, you'll see that the AI is silenced because they're just really toxic and like, oh, I'm walking it down mid, walking it down mid. You jerk.
They're probably cussing us out the whole time.
Yeah,
just
they're angry.
Yeah, I usually report the AI after the games recently for AFK non-participation.
Yeah, such jerks. But since this reminded me, speaking of weird broken things, I encountered I had one game that was full of bugs. It was my first game today. I was playing Diablo. And within the first like minute, and I have some clips of it, which I was going to try and get ready for the show, but then I forgot. Something happened to my Diablo to where it got stuck like I was in a charge motion to where it had like the fire cone around me, and I got stuck facing our base. So like even when I mounted up and stuff, I was facing that direction no matter where I went for like 15 seconds. As soon as I cast another ability, or another charge, at least, it swapped directions, but it was super weird. And then in that same game, there were some abilities, I don't know what abilities it was, had those like disco ball placeholder images that we saw at the media summit. We're all over in that game.
Disco balls, huh?
So I thought maybe it was something on my end because the Windows update happened this morning, but I don't think that would affect. And that was the only game. I don't think that would affect the game. I don't know what happened, but it was really weird.
Sure.
Just probably some weird edge case where a graphic didn't load.
Let the record show, though, that I was a proponent of the disco balls, and I want them back. I really do. It's funny you mention a lot, though, Gizmo, because I was in a game the other day that had a lot of bugs, too. The tank was a Nubarak, and then we had a Zagara and a Badum-Ching. You guys with me on this? The bugs. There were bugs in the game. The Nubarak was one of them, and Zagara was another one of them.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
Okay.
I'll just turn off my mic for a while.
But yeah, so those were really interesting. And I wondered if there was like a balance patch or something that came out today, and there wasn't. So who knows? But I'll keep an eye out for some more. Next up on
speaking of first, because that is a really interesting thing you bring up, because we don't have a new hero tease yet.
Yeah,
which is really interesting because I think the longest wait we've had so far was Maiev to Phoenix, and that was about 50 days. So if I'm not mistaken, I believe we're coming up here in a few days on like the 40-day mark.
Yeah,
for this one.
It's still possible we could get a teaser this week, though. I mean, it is. I'm
hoping
Wednesday
we get
now.
one Friday.
Thursday or Friday they've done, I think, in the past. So it's possible.
Here's my guess. It's going to be the end of the event. Maybe not the end of the event. Maybe next week. No,
I'd say that's still 2 weeks away.
No, I'd say, well, maybe it's Friday. This Friday would make sense because then PTR and then live. Sombra.
Ooh.
to go with this.
I
event.
mean, that would be an awesome little capper on the end of Nexomania.
Oh, and then she comes out with a Nexomania skin. Oh, that'd be cool.
That'd be kind of neat. But I mean, I think this kind of so far as to my theory of the hero release, and then you have the rework patch, and then a hero release, and then a rework patch kind of in between, because that's kind of how it's been so far. We've had the long in between, and then we had Phoenix and Deckard come out in about what we would have considered in the past normal time. And now we've got this balance patch, and we have another long gap. So it'll be interesting to see if that actually ends up playing out, and that every other one with the long gap and like a rework patch or something becomes the new norm.
Could be. I did kind of guess that we were going to get a longer gap between Deckard and whatever's next, just because, like you said, the gap between Phoenix and Deckard wasn't as bad. And I mean, like, I don't know, Blizzard has to be looking at this and saying that in the meantime, and we do have Nexomania to tie this over. So, I mean, it's not like we're in a total content drought.
And it works.
Yeah. So, I mean, the stuff's happening. It's not totally dry.
I'm honestly okay with it.
Yeah.
As long as I guess as long as 50 days or 50 plus days isn't the norm,
like every time. Yeah.
Yeah. If that's not every time, and we have like these mini event content things plus big reworks, because especially Diablo was a pretty big rework. Like and we're going to go over him later, but his play style did change fairly dramatically in a lot of ways. So it's definitely a good tide over until the next hero.
Yeah. And we talked about that last week a little bit about how if there wasn't this event, then it's too long. But this has seemed to have felt it's taken my mind off of it, which is nice. Because between Maev and Phoenix, it was like every week. All right, this is the week. It's not the week. Okay.
But it is just now starting to feel like that a little bit more again, though. Today, TBK, I was actually going back and forth with you at work. I was like, do we know when the next one is? Like, it's starting to get to that time. Sure.
And
it'll be worth it, though.
Lord Dev,
I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure it'll be worth it.
Well, Lord Dev says in chat, somebody said Sombra was teased with some purple static at an event, but I don't know what event there's been for that to have happened.
Not sure. Anyone else in chat?
I'm down with it.
No.
I'd be down with it. But yes, next up on the old Reddit stuff, Alien Schnitzler. It's a great Reddit name. Had a thread that said, so what happened to the Ravenlord plot? Wondering, what happened to our lore? Cloaken, or Kevin Michael Johnson, came in and responded. He said, hey there. Like we mentioned in the dev video, we have a linear story that we're telling over the course of this year, but not every content drop will fall into that storyline. Nexomania is a good example of a divergence. That being said, we do treat each of these content drops as legit canonical elements inside the Nexus. It's all real.
There's the confirmation.
Yeah, the next contribution to the story started with our first comic. Will come up with our next content drop. So next content drop will be back.
Maybe
back
the
on
next
Ravenlord.
hero is tied to the lore somehow. So there is an avenue in which you could start to think through. Maybe like that, if the Ravenlord is attacking the Gravekeeper, is there someone that fits a theme in there somewhere?
That's true, because a hero release is a content drop, right?
Right.
So
and it's got to be what's next.
It almost has to be.
He could have Sombra sneak behind enemy lines, and she's kind of dressed in purple like he is.
Well, didn't they say what was the name of the character that they had sent away that hadn't returned?
It was Orphea.
And
Orphea, the chick who might be going to the underworld, like Orpheus.
Maybe Sombra that's her code name. It's Orphea. I don't know.
Could be.
Or it's a Dreadlord.
I would be okay
Ooh.
with the Dreadlord.
Or one of the prime evils from Diablo.
I'd also be okay with that.
Because
Mephisto?
we're definitely missing all of those.
You know what
That
I'd
would
be okay with?
back-to-back Diablo, though.
You know what I'd be okay with?
Be okay with that.
Anything, really.
Anything.
The only release I would say that I have been disappointed in was Probius.
I was literally about to joke that you won an SCV, so you,
Yeah.
you almost took it right out of my mouth there.
I was disappointed in the Hanzo drop, but I have a confession to make, you guys.
Uh-huh.
Over this last week of leveling up heroes that were really low, Hanzo's in my the top of my rotation right now. I've gotten good at geometry. I went back to school, took some refresher courses, and actually I'm still really bad at geometry. But the Q build, I can do that. So
Gizmo, there's this on the Skype call. If you go down to the kind of the bottom right, there's this icon that looks like a red circle with a phone in it. I want you to click that for me real quick. And just get out of here.
You almost got me. just all that for.
Probably thrown off the whole stream.
So yeah, I've been having fun with him, but who knows what we'll get?
No, that's cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I will have the same experience if I take him up again some more. Who knows?
You just gotta give him a chance.
Are you quick casting his abilities, or are you doing like an on release, or
I don't quick cast.
regular?
I just do regular, except
Just
for
yeah,
for some abilities, I do quick cast occasionally. Not on
Sure.
Hanzo,
Well,
though.
his you do kind of have to aim, so that somewhere in there is my issue, and I'll have to figure it out. But yeah.
Yep. All right, let's go ahead here and talk some HGC. TBK, what do we have going on in the world of the Heroes Global Championship?
Well, Gizmo, as we alluded to last week, the roster swap period is over, and Heroes just a few days ago has announced all the changes. And what hasn't changed? I mean, there's basically changes in almost everything. So there's even changes from teams that are going to the midseason brawl.
Which is crazy.
Weird. That's really weird.
I didn't even think you could do that.
It's I mean, it doesn't seem like a super smart idea to do that, but you can totally do that. So
like
just to go.
Sorry, go ahead.
Well,
No, it's.
but before we get into the changes, I do because how long of a break do we have between the midseason brawl and the start of phase 2?
Few weeks, I think.
Yeah, they should have done like
Most.
at least maybe even extend it like another week, and then have the roster change deadline be the week after midseason brawl, because it's a little ridiculous in my opinion. Obviously, the teams that didn't make it are going to want to make some changes, but what this is doing, it's forcing teams that did make it to, if they had been thinking about making some changes or anything, keeping them from seeing their performance at the midseason brawl to decide if they actually want to make these changes. They're forcing them into making them now. Which is really
and there's
weird.
people who qualified to make it aren't playing because they've been traded off or whatever. And so it's weird to me that we're going to be watching essentially new teams in some ways at the midseason brawl that we haven't really been following in the form that they are going to be.
Yeah.
So
You could definitely have an entire discussion on like HGC rules and the change windows and all the stuff like that. It's definitely a little odd. I'm really hoping we see some further refinement going into phase 2 and beyond into the 2019 season. But anyways, I'll run through the EU and NA lists real quick. So Fnatic is dropping Quacknix and Bad Benny, which was the first shocker for me, and picking Schwimpy back up and adding Last Hope, who I believe was in the Open or as a Grandmaster or something like that. Don't quote me. I'm trying to remember from memory. Crap, it's on the internet. Can't be taken away.
Anything you say on this podcast is quoted.
I know, right? Method is dropping Schwimpy, who went to Fnatic, and Arcaner, and they're picking up Bad Benny, who came from Fnatic, and ADRD. And ADRD left Zealots, and Quacknix is going to Zealots. And the Zealots is also picking up Robodoba, who was let go from Diamond Skin. And their Zealots is also dropping Mopsio, who is joining Leftovers, who dropped Larber, who doesn't seem to be joining anybody. Tricked relinquished ownership of their HGC team to Alexander, who
Are you okay there?
I can't even take this seriously.
No.
He named the team Monkey Menagerie. Okay, I need to go on a little rant. This is why people are not taking esports seriously. When you have names like freaking Monkey Menagerie, like, come on, let's just a little bit, just a little bit more. There's professionalism.
There's plenty of that stuff in esports. Like it's.
Oh yeah.
There's.
What I'm saying is
what's
there shouldn't be.
What's the unicorns and unicorns of love? It's a League of Legends team. It just
is ridiculous to me, and it especially that specific name, Monkey Menagerie, that just doesn't feel like it has good connotations.
I'm
to
actually
it.
I'm really
it may not have
excited
good
for the
connotations,
banner.
but it's got great alliteration.
Yeah.
So I like that. I like that.
Oh goodness!
And also, I will say, Robodoba is my absolute favorite name in esports. It just
it is
rolls
really
off
fun
the
to
tongue
hear the
so
casters
well.
get excited about it.
Robodoba.
Yeah, and Robodoba in with the blah blah blah.
It is a fun name to say. No question.
Almost as fun as Monkey Menagerie.
Okay, moving on to NA. And this is ridiculous. So, as you may or may have not heard, there was some massive NA drama. Not going to get into it super deep, but in the end of things, Gale Force relinquished ownership of their HGC team to Mike Udall. That has been renamed to Team DJ, and Fury and Akaface are leaving that team, and Cure and Dangsky are joining. Looking for more, dropped Draded and T, and they're picking up Fury and Droplets, which Droplets I believe is also an open player that is coming up. Again, don't quote me, because there's a lot of things to try and keep straight. Akaface is joining No Tomorrow as their support, I believe. Equinox is leaving No Tomorrow, but as we did find out, he's kind of stepping back from the player scene completely, and he's actually joining Simplicity as their coach.
Nice.
That's cool though. Yeah.
So I think he'll be a really good coach. He's been around a long time. He's a very strong player, so I think that's great. Yeah. Team Octalysis is adding Draded and Prismaticism and dropping Cure and Dangsky, who both went to Team DJ, and Simplicity is dropping Prismaticism, who went to Octalysis, and Tiger JK is joining Simplicity.
So
Tempo Storm and Heroes Hearth actually kept their rosters intact.
The bigger issue here, and again, we don't need to get far into this, than naming names like Monkey Menagerie, is the fact that we're having organizations leave, and without getting deep into it, and don't quote me on this because I'm quoting myself because I'm recording it. Organizations leaving because they're sick of dealing with stuff in the HGC.
Like drama, or are you talking about like money issues?
Drama and just with how things are going. And it again, that's not a direct quote on anything. That's just from reading some of the reasons, some of the emails that have come out. That seems to be an issue. And there's
also an issue across all esports right now where there's this one game. I'm not going to mention it, but they announced $100 million prize pool. You got to think that's sucking a little of the oxygen out of everything. So that's a potential problem.
Yeah. So there's definitely some things that need and are going to be looked at after this second season of HGC. Again, the game is still young on a professional level, and esports is changing drastically. It has been these past 4 or 5 years. It's going to continue to change, and Heroes is trying to find the foothold with their scene. So,
and just to kind of counterweight it, because yes, it is. I mean, there's no two ways about it. Organizations leaving is not a good thing. On the flip side, though, from a professional skill level, we have seen skill increases almost across the board this season throughout the teams. Now, team stability, yes, that's still an issue. I mean, 5 of the 8 North American teams and 7 of the 8 European teams traded players. Like that's pretty crazy. Mm-hmm. That's the large majority of the HGC teams, and so there is definitely some issue with keeping the teams together. But at the same time, we've seen a lot more coaches added to these teams throughout this year, and it has the improvement has been drastic. Mm-hmm. Like, just look at any team with a coach has improved dramatically over those that have not had a coach. Yeah. Like, it's a noticeable difference. And just even across the whole skill level of HGC, it has risen some this year. NA and Europe have gotten much closer, which has been really good. We've seen some things that we haven't seen before, like a team like Heroes Hearth that started out in the open division, won the Crucible, and then moved in and then took a spot in the Western Clash, then went, I believe, undefeated the whole next half, and now has a spot in the Midseason Brawl. Yeah. It's like, you can't get much more of a success story than that. That is insanely awesome. And they didn't roster swap. Super excited about it. Yeah, and they didn't roster swap. And they have a coach. So it's hard not to just super root for them all the time, I have to admit. Like, I want to be objective and I want to sit back and like really get some of the players' stories, but I am so rooting for Heroes Hearth.
Heroes Hearth's my team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah. But I mean, it's definitely a real testament to what you can do when you've got an org behind you that's really backing you up, when you've got a coach that can help the team out and mediate for the team as well, because that's really one of the big things a coach does, is the coach is that intermediary between players, so that the players themselves don't have to deal with a lot of the little drama and issues that come up as it goes, and the coach can kind of mediate between players instead of the players having to mediate between players. Because that's where a lot of issues can happen. Exactly.
If it's two players that have a problem with each other, there's no one to sit them down and say, look, we gotta figure this out because our team fights are struggling or whatever.
Yeah. So, and we've seen teams break up because of that in the past, just throughout the years of Heroes history. So we are definitely moving in the right direction in some ways, but not in all ways. So I'm really hoping they're taking a lot of what they're seeing this year into consideration, and then hopefully looking to address those things as we move forward into the second phase of 2018, and then of course into the first phase of 2019.
I'm glad, though, that you took the time to point out a lot of the positive stuff there, because there are some people who hear something like, oh, a couple of the orgs left the game, and start doomsaying, like, oh, well, game's dead, better switch to Fortnite. But that's not the case. We're moving in the right direction in a lot of good ways, like you said, and it's just a growing thing.
Agreed.
Right? Agreed. Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
For sure. Next up, I was talking about the Midseason Brawl. That is coming. But first, during the Midseason Brawl, we are going to have the sweet East versus West show matches again. And I'm really, really excited about this. So this is going to take place, of course, at DreamHack in Sweden. And the All-Star Games will take place between regular Midseason Brawl matches from June 16th through the 18th. And they each will feature a twist on standard Heroes of the Storm gameplay. Prepare for the return of Inverted Draft, where competitors pick heroes that their opponents will play, Sandbox Madness, and more. Team West will be represented by Vanilla, Mene, Crowan, Snitch, and Glaurung, and they will be fighting against Team East, made up of Hugo, Wind, Hooligan, Rich, and Buyo 5.
Buyo 5?
You know,
Buoy 005
Boy.
when you look at it closely.
Yep, BOOY005.
I think those last two O's are zeros.
I just butchered I mean, it could be. It's really hard to tell, but I know I've already butchered it. So there it is. It might be BOOY005. I'm so sorry.
Boyo?
But, could be Boyo. Boyos.
We'll have to tune in to learn this.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for the Team East, Team West match now, so I can hear the casters actually say it. They will be calling on the Heroes of the Storm community to vote for the battlegrounds that they'd like to see the All-Star matches played on. Tune into the Midseason Brawl group stage starting Saturday, June 9th, and you'll be able to cast your vote via Twitch chat.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. This was a really fun deal, actually. They did these show matches last year. And it's just like all-star teams for like baseball or basketball or whatever. And so and a lot of times, and if I remember correctly, there was some pretty fun, unique comps along with these like fun style drafts. So I'm really excited to see what some of these top players from each region pull out.
Yep. Good to see the reverse draft. Heroes Charity Brawl. First, I don't know. I'm going to say we were, but I don't know if we actually were the first tournament to incorporate the reverse draft in Heroes of the Storm.
Ooh, not sure on that one.
I don't
But
think
either way,
it's
pro
true.
tip, guys, pick all supports. Pick all supports, because that's the
All
correct way to
supports.
do it nowadays.
Apparently. Okay, so now the main thing, Midseason Brawl, Destination Sweden. This is going to be the big one. It starts June 9th. $250,000 in prize money is up for grabs, along with international bragging rights. Midseason Brawl group stage will take place at Monster Energy DreamHack Studios in Stockholm, beginning on June 9th at 5 a.m. Pacific Time, 7 Central, 8 Eastern. The group stage will be split. We'll split the field of 12 teams into 2 groups of 6. Each group will play a best-of-2 round-robin format to determine playoff seeding. And at the end of the group stage, the first and second place team will be seeded into the upper bracket, with the third and fourth place teams seeded into the lower, with the fifth and sixth place teams being eliminated from the event. After the group stage, the Phoenix bracket will unfold on stage at DreamHack Summer, starting June 16th. This double elimination bracket will be all best of 5 until the grand finals, which will be a best of 7, with a 1-map advantage given to the team coming from the upper bracket. The casters and commentators will be on hand, of course. Kalaris, Tetcher, Skimmy, Jayhow, Wolf, Caldor, Trixler, Gilly, and Dreadnought. So we got our all-star caster lineup. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm actually really excited to see Kalaris back again for a Heroes event. It's been a while since he's gotten to do hero stuff. Getting to see Skimmy back is always fun. He brought a lot of energy, I thought.
Yeah, he's really funny.
His casting. So, yeah, I'm excited to have HGC back, guys.
Yes,
It's been
a
too
while.
long.
It feels like it's been a while, hasn't it? But yeah, I'm down.
Pop,
And I mean, this is the one to tune into for sure.
pop trivia. Do you know why they call it a Phoenix bracket?
Because you can
Because
rise from the
you can
ashes.
rise-
Yes.
Ha
Yes. I just as soon as you said it, I was like, why is it called Phoenix bracket? Oh, I bet that's why.
Yep.
It's a good name for it. Well done, whoever did that.
Very, very flavorful. Yes.
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 So it's almost here. But you know what else is almost here and it's closer? Heroes Charity Brawl. Be there, be square. Check it out. Let's move on to our hero rework of the week for the 3rd time. This is the last time, though. Probably not, but maybe.
hero of the week.
That sounder's so bad. Diablo.
The best sounder. And we will never get rid of it.
Yes. So Diablo has changed. And TBK, I snuck in another build in here on you. And
I see that with all the.
Yes.
I saw.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we're going to do this a little differently.
All the slashes.
Yeah, we'll have you guys kind of go through the Fire Stomp stuff, and we can give input on that. And then after we just talk about that talent choice, I'm going to hop over and switch things up and talk about what talent you would go for the Q build. I played like 10 games of Diablo today. I've been doing a lot of research on this stuff, and I don't know which one I like yet. I think they're situational. I think there's certain situations. I haven't decided which I like better, but they're both great builds, and they play very differently, which is a really interesting thing. So I don't know if you guys have tried the Q build at all.
Also, I do have to mention before we start, as awesome as this rework is, people have definitely been having some issues with Diablo. He does play. He plays very different in a lot of ways than his previous kit did before the rework. And his play style has changed a little bit, but right now, just as an overall, Diablo is actually sitting at a 43% win rate.
Oh, wow.
He's down 8.5% since his rework.
Some of that has to be just the learning curve of people who
It definitely
played him a
is.
bunch before, because I'm kind of in that boat. I did play a good amount of Diablo prior to this, and I'm still like I'm doing okay on him. I've found a few tricks that I'm happy to share, but I'm still on the learning curve myself, like just trying to feel out, because you kind of have to. It's such a big rework that you have to rethink about, like, how does he play even on the different maps and in different comps and all these things. So I mean, it's. You talked about the Q build, Gizmo. I mean, one of the reasons to take it, I think, would be a tight map like Tomb of the Spider Queen, where you could just slam people against walls a lot and stuff. But
yeah,
I don't know. We'll get into all that. But
I think he's got more build variety than he used to. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
It's possible some of the numbers aren't there. I just wanted to point this out because he is sitting only above one hero on the overall Hot Slogs win rates right now. Hanzo is down in the dumps with a 42% across the board. It seems like the last nerf really hit him hard.
Nah, man, Hanzo OP.
Hanzo, Diablo.
why are you
right
just now taking him up then, Gizmo?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's like what he was like in the 50s or
I don't know.
whatever.
I have a good win rate with him. He's one of my highest win rates this season. So,
but all this to say, it's quite possible we will see some numbers tweaks.
Yeah,
on a lot of these Diablo's talents, potentially even next week.
Mm-hmm.
That's possible.
I would. Dark Sting 77 says, "Yeah, DPS Diablo isn't a thing anymore." I would disagree, especially because we probably will see some tweaks. But if you play, depending on which build you play, if you play it right, you can get a lot. It just these two builds, you're just putting your damage out differently. But I've had some really high numbers. So let's go ahead and hop in. Again, the first talent we talk about is really going to be for the Fire Stomp, and then I'll mention one for a Q build, and we can kind of talk about the differences between those. So for level 1, TBK, what are we going with? Fire Stomp.
So for the Fire Stomp build, and really this is just kind of an overall decent talent for most maps. It's Devil's Due, and so Black Soulstone increases the effects of regen globes and health fountains by 2% per soul. So once you actually are fully stacked with souls, regen globes heal you for so much health.
Oh yeah.
And mana, and fountains are basically just like 100% heals.
It's a second health
all
bar.
the time. Yeah, you're. And this is actually a good time to kind of mention it, since it kind of goes along with this. There's a concept called I and I don't know if this is like the official name for it, but it's basically like pre-potting. If you are familiar with that term from like World of Warcraft, where if you're missing a little health right before an engage with the enemy team, you actually go and drink your health fountain, because this is like an overtime heal.
Right.
And so you can drink your health fountain, then go into the fray. And as you're taking damage, you're still able to heal that up with the regen.
Still ticking, yeah.
Yeah, with the regen still ticking. So that can actually be an incredibly powerful effect, especially when you combine it with something like Devil's Due, because then you can, like you said, Gizmo, you got a second health bar over that short period of regen time. So that's definitely something to keep in mind as well. And it also can potentially change up your play style to where you will want to engage in lane a little more often, because that's where your regen globes are.
Yep.
On a lot of the maps.
And nowadays you'll want to bully the opponent even more, which you totally can do. Just get in there, shadow charge in, throw them around some, get a couple W's off, fire stomp them a little bit. Because then if you bully them off of their regen globes and you're running Devil's Due, you get so much more out of them than your opponent does in the lane.
Yeah.
And this is a level 1 talent, so that is a huge impact.
For sure. The other talent we can go if you're going the Q build, which is going to be the charge build, is Feast on Fear. So stunning an enemy hero with Shadow Charge or Overpower heals Diablo for 15% of his maximum health over 4 seconds.
Yeah.
It's not easy to do. Before, at least me, admittedly, when I played Diablo, I wasn't on my charges and stuff. Sure, I would try and get the stuns. Wasn't necessarily always my main priority. On this, if you are going to bypass Devil's Due, you really need to be hitting those. So these are great, like Multi said earlier, on maps with tight corridors or maps where the objective is kind of surrounded, like Tomb of the Spider Queen, Brax's Holdout, Cursed Hollow.
Even Cursed Hollow, yeah, for sure.
Are all really great. That being said, I still, with the Q build, go Devil's Due sometime. If I know it's going to be objective map where team fights are going to be really drawn out, like Cursed Hollow or Volskaya Foundry, things like that, to Towers of Doom, I'll probably go Devil's Due because I can get that second health bar. But like turn-in maps and things like that where it's not really team fights around the objective, that's when I'll typically swing to the Feast on Fear. On the flip side, I've actually seen some builds from the Korean side. I don't remember which player it was that put this out there. He was going Feast on Fear even with the Fire Stomp build.
See, I tried that today and I didn't love it. I maybe it's just that I wasn't getting enough wall slams off. I was on Volskaya, so definitely not the best map for it. But I did not feel like I was getting the most value out of that. I was playing with a listener, actually, Sleeping Wisp. Shout out there. Huge comeback in that game. We killed him. But yeah, no, I'm in the Devil's Due camp.
Yeah.
Just kind of in general. I don't think you can really go wrong.
And again, it depends. If you're not good at getting those stuns, Devil's Due all the way, and then still 50% of the time, 60% of the time, Devil's Due is the choice if they're going to be long drawn out fights. So let's move on to level 4 multi. What are we going to be going with the Fire Stomp?
So level 4, it kind of makes sense to go the Fire Stomp talent. It's Souls to the Flame. Its Fire Stomp grants 1 soul every 3 times it damages an enemy hero and heals for an additional 1.25% of its damage dealt per soul. So, if you guys aren't familiar with the changes too much, one of the main changes to Fire Stomp in general, other than that it goes out in a cone this time, when the Fire Stomps return to you, they actually deal bonus damage. It basically crits a little bit, and he actually automatically heals for 125% of the damage dealt to heroes with it. So this raises it a little bit per soul, but it stacks pretty nicely. And honestly, like, again, I mean, we're talking about the difference between the Q and the W build on this one, but this one's pretty crucial to me because you'll actually find playing Diablo nowadays that he lacks just raw tankiness, at least in the sense of, you're not getting the same armor out of your Qs necessarily, I guess, unless you take, Sacrificial Soul, which we'll talk about here in a second. But you can make up for it in self-healing, and there's interesting ways of going about this. And one thing I've found, actually, just in general, is that it doesn't seem like people who you're laning against, especially in these early phases, are doing a great job of dodging the fire stomps. Because, I mean, truly, like, even if he gets you on the backside when they're coming back at him and it's the crit damage, it's still not a ton of damage. Like, it's not enough that's just going to burst you down or cause you to leave lane in 30 seconds or anything like that. But it is healing him. And so if you're taking Souls of the Flame at 4 and just his raw healing off of it in general, I mean, we're talking here is a guy who can really win out in duels and trades within the lanes in the early phases. And it's in my case, it's been because I'm in a lane of like maybe even just me versus 2 people in bottom. And I just get off as many fire stomps as I can, heal back up. I'm charging in, throwing them around, bullying them off of their regen globes, which I'm getting more value out of because of Devil's Due. He's a pretty good solo laner in the new build, in my opinion.
He is. One of the things I am struggling with the new Fire Stomp that's hurting me on this build, but I'm getting better at it, especially later on, we'll get to the talents where it resets, making sure you're throwing your fire the right direction. And not doing other things, not flipping them before it returns, or all sorts of, because that's really going to hurt your healing a lot.
Yeah.
Well, and let's talk about that a little bit too, because there are some significant changes. Because for those that haven't played New Diablo, Fire Stomp is no longer an AOE effect. It is a frontal cone for the direction you're facing that deals damage as it goes out, and then crit damage as it comes back in, and
like
it actually heals Diablo for the damage.
I don't know where I get the sense that I've said all this, but I feel like I have.
By the way,
yeah,
you said 125%. It's 1.25%.
You said 100%. Yeah, it's 1.25% for Souls to the Flame. This is just the base
Souls to the Flame.
Fire
but the base
Stomp.
one, Fire Stomp, Diablo heals for 125% of the damage dealt to hero.
Yeah, and you get some extra for Souls to the Flame, but they've changed his Soulstone trait too. So you actually have a way now to get souls by team fighting, which wasn't the case before, because you can actually get 10 souls now per hero killed.
Yep.
Which is a huge deal for him, because before, once you get 100 and they killed you, it's just like, well, guys, I'm gonna go back to lane for about 5 minutes, get me some souls. Whereas now you can get a few souls from lane, but then actually get back into the team fight and get stronger by team fighting.
Yeah.
Which is a really big deal for Diablo, because he is such a big team fight dude.
Yes. Correct. The Q build at level 4 is going to be a Sacrificial Soul, where stunning a hero with Shadow Charge grants 5 souls and 15 armor for 4 seconds. While at 100 souls, it increases the armor to 30. So again, still a way to build your soul stacks up in team fights, or just in lane against your opponent, not just minions, which is great. And then you can still get that armor. But again,
and it's probably really good at the end.
Got to be landing those stuns. You got to be landing them. So,
and that's the biggest thing, is you went from Shadow Charge before giving armor no matter what, to now it's only with the stuns. So that, I think that play style has really messed up people who used to just go Q and expected to be super tanky as they were, initiating with the Q.
Yeah. The skill cap overall on Diablo has definitely gone up, or the skill floor, I guess we should say.
Both, I think.
Both, yeah.
Is that a trend you've noticed from reworks? Doesn't it kind of seem like reworked heroes tend to trend toward higher skill?
Which I think is good, not to do that to all heroes, but I think it also kind of shows that the player base is growing.
Yeah.
Along with the game, but you got to be careful in doing that.
I feel like if a rework just made a hero easier to play, we'd almost just consider it a nerf. And this I don't. Even if
Maybe.
his win rate is down, I don't consider it a nerf. It's like a legit just change in playstyle.
Well, and not only are people getting used to Diablo, but there's also probably a ton of people that don't play Diablo playing Diablo because the skin is sick.
Oh yeah,
So-
and because the new Conal Fire Stomp is sick, frankly. You know.
So let's move on to level 7 here, TBK.
You know what's even more sick than the new Fire Stomp multi? Multiple new Fire Stomps at the same time.
That's right.
And that's what you get with Eternal Flames. So this level 7 talent, when Diablo stuns an enemy with Shadow Charge or with Overpower, you reset the cooldown of Fire Stomp. And this is one of the things that I think I've had the most trouble getting used to, is remembering to use my Fire Stomp first before I do my Shadow Charge or before I do my Overpower. Because technically this now allows you to get 3 Fire Stomps going at the same time if you hit everything right. You would Fire Stomp the enemy, charge them into a ledge or the side of something and stun them, hit your Fire Stomp again, then overpower them over your head and turn around and Fire Stomp them again. And now Flame is just wreathing them with critical hits and your health bar is shooting up and you feel like an amazing person.
And it looks amazing.
It looks incredible. It looks raid bossy. It's really cool if you can pull it all off at the same time.
So you do have to consciously do it. I mean, you have to think through, okay, the timing in which you're going to reset things. And that's again, one of those skill cap, skill floor things that I don't think everyone's I haven't fully caught on to yet myself. Like this early on, I have to really consciously think about it.
Yeah. So this is what I was talking about earlier, to where it can get tricky because you don't. Your second Fire Stomp is the important one here. So you Fire Stomp, charge. By the time they are unstunned is about when that first wave is hitting them, coming back to hit them. Your second cast, you actually want to cast behind you because then you overpower them onto that other side so that when it comes back, that's when you're getting your crits. That's the hardest part to remember because I keep casting it in front of me, then I overpower them, and when it comes back, it doesn't touch them. And then you can cast that third one, and you just kind of got to position your body correctly to try and get the most hits on those.
And you're doing all that while factoring in potentially other heroes that are further down the lane and trying to get them squeezed into. Like there is a lot to think about in these exchanges now.
Oh yeah.
Team fights,
that's huge talent.
Yeah, in team fights it'll completely change because you're pretty much just casting the Fire Stomps towards where everyone's clumped up because that is a ton of healing. But when it comes to the one-on-one situations, it can be pretty hard. For the Q build, most people I have found are going Malevolence, which basic attacks cause Diablo's next basic attack within 6 seconds to deal an additional 100 spell damage. It stores up to 2 charges.
Nah, they're still taking Eternal Flames.
Yeah. No. Not for the Q build.
Yeah, no.
No.
Well, I think so because you get so much more healing out of Eternal Flames, just flat out.
But
even if you haven't spec'd into things like Souls to the Flame and
I have been testing out Diabolical Momentum, and that's when Diablo's basic attacks damage enemies, reduce the cooldown of his basic attacks by 0.75 seconds for more Qs, more armor, more healing, more overpowers. And I haven't landed or decided where exactly I've landed yet. Though I may try Eternal Flames on that. I'll be honest, I haven't tried it with the Q build. I'll give it a shot. So
Eternal Flames to me just seems like just such a game changer talent. Mm-hmm. It's just like, do you want to take Diablo to the next level? You go Eternal Flames because it completely changes up what you can do with combos.
Yeah. And raises your self-healing.
I may try it out. Level 10, no questions asked, you're going Lightning Breath. Not really.
And it warms my heart to hear you say that.
It's not quite that plain and simple.
Well, no.
But, there's a lot of situations where APOC is still really good if you have that synergy on your team for the combos, like a Zeratul or Maul or Ring of Frost, Mosh Pit. But the Lightning Breath is just so good now in securing kills. It's a short cooldown. It's only 60 seconds compared to the 100 seconds, so it's perfectly fine to use on when you're rotating on somebody. It's not I have to save this for the right moment and I missed it. It's easy to use, feels good, looks cool, sounds cool, especially if you have the skin. So it's good.
I really need that skin now.
I do too.
Good.
I did not know
it's
that.
Good.
That's a game changer.
Yeah.
No, but seriously, like I've always just enjoyed Lightning Breath, just flat out. Like it's just always been fun to do, and so to see it kind of come back like this, and I mean, we're looking at the, of course, the Heroes Hearth build as we go through a lot of these as well, and it breaks down the percentages of people picking it, at least the ones who submit their stats, and 62% on Lightning Breath to the 31 APOC.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you said, there's a place for either one, but I like seeing Lightning Breath again.
Yeah.
It is nice, and it's such a cool effect as well. It's one of the coolest graphics in the game. You do, however, have to be really careful about the usage. You do get unstoppable while you're doing it, but at the same time, especially now that you don't have guaranteed extra armor, especially like before you kick off Lightning Breath, you are in a lot of ways extremely vulnerable while you're doing your Lightning Breath if you don't have a team that can capitalize on the extra slow and damage that the Lightning Breath is doing, because Diablo is all about self-healing now with his abilities, and you cannot cast anything else with Lightning Breath, and you're not healing with Lightning Breath. So there's definitely been times where I've grabbed it and found myself actually getting DPS down very quickly with nothing to do or nothing that I can do about it while I'm doing Lightning Breath. So you definitely need to weigh that when you're thinking of doing your APOC or Lightning Breath, because APOC is just a button click and a blow up, and you're not stuck sitting somewhere.
Yeah, you kind of want to save it for when they're running away, like if the enemy team is losing the team fight and on the fleeing, because in particular, you're now slowing them with it too. So the rest of your team can maybe catch up and finish them off, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And that way you're not just standing there and taking a lot of burst damage, for instance. So
it's also, I mean, just depend. It can be really good as soon as you know you're winning the fight as well while they're clumped up, because as soon as they see that go off, one, they know they're not going to win the fight, so they're going to try and run away, and two, they can't run away. So you can try.
And I think that's a great way to look at it, right? Is APOC is your initiator, where Lightning Breath is like your mid to end fight kind of finisher.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Also, I know I say this every time we talk about Lightning Breath and how it's fire. Yes, there's some lightning in it. Even the icon is fire. There's no lightning in that icon. Come on.
That is true. I see 0 lightning. Must be changed.
Level 13. Let's go on to TBK. What are we going for the fire build?
So for the fire build, I like Hellfire. Imagine that. Each enemy hero hit by Fire Stomp grants 2% spell power for 10 seconds up to 30%. And remember, spell power counts towards everything that you do that's not basic attack damage. So all the damage from your Fire Stomp, healing, Lightning Breath would also count for that. So it's just
technically the abilities, right? Shadow Charge. It doesn't do a ton, but
I believe spell power is anything that's not auto attack.
Right.
So it's just this is where you get your Diablo damage jump. So just imagine Hellfire combined with your R level 7 Eternal Flames, and you're in a big team fight, and all of a sudden you've got 3 waves of fire going out, hitting all these heroes. You jump up to this 30% spell power pretty dang quick. You've got it for 10 seconds. You're actually doing a significant amount of damage and a significant amount of healing for yourself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because by this point we've taken Souls of the Flame at 4 as well for even more self-healing from it too. So I mean, it starts to build up.
Yep.
You wouldn't think of Diablo as a spellcaster gaining spell power, but it kind of, yeah. Because honestly, that was one of my first reactions to it when I read this talent. I was like, Yeah, spell power, sure, but he's not like a mage. But in this case, almost.
All right, for the Q build, it'll be a devastating charge. Increases shadow charges terrain collision damage by 100%. Also adds a quest where each time you hit or an enemy hero takes terrain collision damage, you increase the bonus by 15% up to a maximum of 75%. Which, if you're doing this build, you should be hitting your stuns, so it doesn't take long to complete, and it's up to 175% bonus damage on top of your shields, on top of the healing. It's where you can start to make a pretty big difference in the initiation of team fights, which is cool. It's fun.
Yeah.
Level 16 here. This was an interesting choice, but I kind of like it. Where are we going with, Multi?
So we're actually going with domination. And even though the numbers say otherwise on Heroes Hearth, there's some advantages to this. So domination's kind of a harkening back to, previous builds. Casting Overpower resets the cooldown of Shadow Charge. And the cool thing about this now, and honestly what makes it even more complicated and even more high skill floor and cap to pull off, is that so now you get essentially another reset of your Fire Stomp as well. If you went back and you did the Eternal Flames at 7, and you got Domination now, you're now in a situation where you can Shadow Charge in, get a Fire Stomp off, Domination, or rather, not Domination, you would then overpower them, get another one off, Shadow Charge, get another one off. Heck, by this time, maybe your cooldown on the Overpower's almost up again. Like, you're just in there wrestling at this point. So very flavorful for Nexomania. And it just changes the way he's played. I know when I've seen him played in HGC, they're big fans of this as well. In the end, you're getting more abilities off and potentially stunning more. There's something satisfying, too, about flipping someone over and then slamming them into a wall. Which you can now, you can chain the sequence where you queue in, flip them, then queue them back. There's just plays that can be made with this. And I mean, even though, yes, Debilitating Flames is very good, I have been taking Domination every time because it's good stuff.
Yeah.
There's not only plays that can be made while you're making those plays, fire is everywhere.
Fire that is also self-healing you, so it raises your tankiness if you pull it off. And I mean, there's a lot of good reasons.
Yeah, I would say for the fire build, this would be kind of dependent on who you're going against. If they have a lot of frontline damage dealers, Debilitating Flames can still be really good. And that's where enemy heroes hit by Fire Stomp are slowed by 5% for 4 seconds, up to 50%. Heroes slowed by 25% or more by Debilitating Flames deal 50% less damage. So it can cut back on a lot of teamfight damage if it's in a clustered area and they have a lot of people bunched up. So at that point, this is one of those situations where you know how the match is going, you know how team fights are going, so you can make that decision. For the Q build, it'll be Domination. And this, of course, is casting Overpower resets the cooldown of Shadow Charge. Which is great for, there's no terrain around. Well, guess what? You can still charge them, overpower, charge back to your team. There is terrain around. Well, now you can get a crap ton of damage from your 13 talent, overpower them, still more fire going everywhere, and hopefully charge them into even more terrain, which is a crap ton more damage. And hey, look, even more fire going everywhere. So
I feel like we have to shout out Overpowering Nightmare here, though, anyway, because that's the one where you gain 2 additional charges of Overpower with a 2-second cooldown between uses, just because it's one of the newer ones, and it's, again, it's changing up your hit cycle on him and what you're capable of doing with him.
In a lot of ways, it's the lesser skill cap version of Domination.
Yes.
In a way,
because it allows you, again, with the level 7 talent, there's guaranteed Fire Stomp resets for you on just a click and grab button. You don't have to stun anybody. It's an auto stun as you do the Overpower. You've only got 2 seconds of cooldown between uses. And so that allows you, if especially, let's say a wide open map where you don't think you can get those Shadow Charge stuns in as much, and it allows you to just throw somebody around, and it's so annoying because just like body blocks, throw them over your head, body blocks, and they got past, throw them over your head.
Yeah.
I could see that
And
being
while you're
really
doing
good
that,
against,
fire.
Yeah, of course. There's fire during all of this. If we've not been clear on
So
that.
much fire.
Yeah. But I could see that being good against other particular heroes too, like ones who don't have a great like escape button, if you will. You know, a Vala could just vault away and get around your body blocking and that kind of thing. But like, you know, catching a Jaina with this would be insane. She's dead.
You shouldn't need 2 additional overpowers to kill Jaina, but yes, I get your point. Well, and this is actually, so this is, you know, the most potential for flames because you have those 2 additional charges instead of just getting the 1. So I could see that being good in some situations, and it is kind of cool.
Yeah.
All right, level 20 TBK.
Level 20, you still got a little bit of situational stuff. I do want to shout out first because we talked a lot about Lightning Breath. I want to talk about Hellstorm. It's a really interesting talent. They changed it to where Lightning Breath lasts 200% longer, which is absolutely ridiculous.
No need for that.
There's
Right.
no need for it because if anybody from the enemy team is still in the range of the fire breath, anywhere past beyond its initial already fairly long cast, they are doing something horribly, horribly wrong, because this does not give the range increase anymore
Right.
that Hellstorm used to give. So if the range was on this longer one, it might be worth it, but as it is, I don't really think you would be able to get a whole lot of value out of it.
I can think of one situation. You're pushing in on the enemy core and they're all dead, but they're coming up in 5 seconds. So you walk up to their Hall of Storms and you just start spitting on them, just vomiting on them as your team finishes off the core.
There you go.
And you may
That's
have
one
that
of those.
situation.
That's one of those level
There you go.
20.
That's viable.
There you go.
Yeah, you just hit 20 as you took
that
the
is your
enemy team
situation.
down. That's the situation. There you go.
Yeah.
Good job, Kevin.
Thanks.
But normally, Hellgate is going to be one of your best options. It's the 100-second cooldown. You teleport and place a demonic rune at the target location, and after 1.75 seconds, the rune explodes, stunning and dealing damage. This is a great initiation. It's a great escape. It's a great kind of almost body blocker because it can block an area or some sort of choke point with an exploding rune that's a decent size. It gives you a free jump in card to grab someone, overpower them, and charge them back, or even a free escape if you so need. So that's very, very strong. It's your blink, right?
Yeah.
But the other one I usually will take if the enemy team comp is right, and this is usually if the enemy comp is heavily melee, then Lord of Terror is a very strong talent. It's only a 60-second cooldown, and you activate it to steal 10% of the max health of nearby enemy heroes and gain 5 souls per hero's hit. And that is key, because especially if you've died recently or something, you could get 10, 15 souls just out of this, plus 30% max health of those nearby enemy heroes, and it's every 60 seconds.
Yeah,
And Diablo's all about that self-sustain now.
good against double tank comps as well. I haven't tested it, but it has to be amazing against Cho'Gall.
Yeah.
Just so much health.
Oh, yeah.
You can see it. Yeah, and for the Q build, it's Hellgate as well. It's just a really good talent. You get an APOC in there, you have an escape, you have an initiation, you have a way to get to their back line, knock the front line away. It's good.
Yeah, it might help you land the Q that you're looking for. So
Yep.
it's good.
So actually, that's it could help land a W as well, teleporting onto the other side if you missed up to get that wave to come back.
Splashing even more people with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like it. But yes,
too.
those are the 2 builds here. So again, they're going to be completely different. I don't know which is better. I think I'm kind of, as far as like builds on Heroes Hearth, things like that, I've been seeing about 50% on both of them. So I think it's going to be a big situational thing, a big map dependent thing, which is cool because they're 2 completely different types of play styles, and one may just suit you better than the other. and you may be better at one. So
I feel like the Fire Stomp one's a little more universal in that you can get some value out of it no matter what the map or comp or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, there is a case to be made on some of those smaller maps, for instance, like you said, going that Q build too. So I need to play around with it some more. If I want to throw out just a general tip here real quick, in my opinion now, he more than ever is all about landing the Fire Stomps. And because it's different now, I felt like in the past, you could just hit the W key and not even really fully care where it all went because it never did a ton of damage and it was okay wave clear. But, sometimes in the old build, I would just press it so that I could get the Burning Rage going and use that to take down and wave clear, right? But now it really, like, you're trying to shotgun them with the outward fan, and then you really have to watch it as it's coming back too. I mean, you have to see if you're catching multiple targets with it. There's some weird things you can do where, like, if you're walking straight to right in the lane, like horizontal on your screen, if you will, and you throw one out, if you then drop a little bit below, like head south or toward bot lane, I guess, if you want to think of it that way, just as you're harassing them, the waves seem to go out in a cone, but then try to return in a weird, like, I don't know, maybe I need Hanzo to explain the geometry on this thing to me. But you know what I mean? Like, they come back at you trying to keep more or less the same formation that they went out in. Does that make sense? If you guys have seen this, you might have just picked up on it. But you can kind of, like, it changes the way you aim them coming back at you. So I don't know. It's just something you got to get in there and practice and try out. But I really do think it's all about those W's now. And I'd be intrigued to know, like, if his wave clear has gone up or down because of it. I think in some ways it could have gone up because you can like shotgun the wave and pull it back in a way that drags over most of them. But I just don't know.
I think it's gone up.
I feel like it's gone up.
Yeah,
so.
If you do it actual, like, from top to bottom almost, or like shoot the wave out slightly diagonal, you can make the fire come back in like a line, kind of.
And
to
you
hit
kind
like
of do that
line.
like as the wave's approaching while they're still in a line, and there's stuff to do.
So yeah, overall I love the rework. I'm not a great Diablo player, but I've been having a blast with them.
Yeah, I think if I could leave people with one tip for new Diablo, it's be more cognizant of your engages.
Ooh, yeah.
Because it's, unless you're going Q build, and unless when you initiate you are getting the slam to get the armor, you do not have that automatic armor you used to have when you go in and initiate. So you have to be very careful when you're initiating either into the whole team or into high damage characters, because remember, all your health is in regen. It's not instant. And so you have to be very careful of high levels of burst, because that can actually trash you as Diablo now, because you don't have that armor most of the time mitigating a lot of that strong burst. Yeah. So definitely be very careful on your initiates.
Yeah, you almost have to really watch it, because something I used to do a lot was just shadow charge in, not even really caring if I hit a wall, and then overpowering them and start to harass them in like a laning phase. You really got to watch that now, because you're just not as tanky as you once were, and you're just sticking your neck out sometimes.
Yeah, I'm actually glad you guys brought that up, because one of the things I meant to mention with the Q build, at level 1, if you are going up against kind of a burst comp or a mage with a lot of CC on the team, even Q build level 1, you absolutely want to go Devil's Due, because that 15% healing of your max health it's not immediate. It's over 4 seconds.
Right.
So you will still just get bursted down. So it's helpful to have that second health bar, or the pre-pot, as we talked about going into that. So
I have never tried the pre-pot. I really need to. Why haven't I done
it's
that?
huge. Yeah, it's absolutely huge for almost.
You can do it on anyone.
I mean, you can do it on anyone. Yeah, you can do it on anyone. If you're like one of the main places I do it is Tomb of the Spider Queen, because you have your objective fights with the web weavers as they come down, and usually you will have that your health fountain right there as people are attacking the gate. So you grab that real fast, and that allows you to stay in the fight, in the mix, a lot longer than not, and it doesn't risk you accidentally losing your fountain while you're out there fighting before you get a chance to bring it back, or you get too low, you grab the fountain and you just die because regen.
But keep in mind, just because you can doesn't always mean it's good to, because if you're not going against like a burst, if they don't have enough damage, you could be wasting that whenever it would be good to kind of rotate out, group back up, heal up, and then go back in while they're low. So just a situational thing, but it is a cool mechanic.
I could also see you pre-potting and then going in and there's like only 3 people there.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, well, okay.
Well, I wasted it. And then their team shows up and you don't have the fountain. Yeah, so let us know what you guys have been trying out, what you like, if you found any other cool things with Diablo. And we will keep an eye on him, see what his numbers look like, see if they make any balance changes to him, or just, see if his low win rate is because people are getting used to him and he's actually really strong. Who knows?
Quick fun fact, though. The first time we covered Diablo on this show was episode 3. And I went back and I listened to some of it today just to kind of compare. And there's a point, TBK, where you're going over at level 4, we took the increased healing one. What was that called again? Amplified healing.
Yeah, for your souls. The more souls you had, the more health regen. Yeah.
No, it was full-on amplified healing. Like you could get more healing from healers as well as.
Yeah.
So, but
he probably got that removed like
forever
who knows
ago.
How long? Yeah,
right. But in that episode, you point out that it does impact the globes and the fountains. And at one point, you can hear me in the background go, "Huh," and that's because I didn't know that until you said that. So, 3 years later, I will admit that to you. But that was like March 2015.
Do you know what episode it was we talked about in the second time?
3. Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look that one up.
Interesting.
Because
we'll say it was around.
This is kind of the second rework.
Yes, it is.
Technically, yeah.
The small one was a small.
The bigger
first,
one.
Second
this
one.
is the bigger one for sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on here real quick to community content. TBK.
I have another Brightwing skin this week.
I haven't looked at this one.
It'll be in the show notes, of course, and I'm linking it in chat. It's Mecha Brightwing. Oh my gosh, I want all the Brightwing skins, Blizzard, please.
That's pretty dope.
Blizzard.
That's dope.
The wings being like those turbines that
the little turbine face things. Oh my gosh, this skin is incredible.
I'm picturing the skin as not even flapping, which is kind of awesome.
This is what will be delivering your Amazon packages to your house, and if you didn't pay your shipping on time, it's got another present for you.
Yeah, she will turn you into a.
It's got a little missile launcher on it for the queue. Like, oh my gosh!
I think they're between this and the Syndragosa one from last week. It just seems like the community is wanting Brightwing skins to me.
Hey,
Blizzard, give the community what they want.
The question is, what does her what's the polymorph turn the people into? And the answer is a delivery package box. A little box that you offer.
And it just hops around.
Yes, that would be amazing. There's so much fun stuff that you could do with that. That'd be really cool. And then, of course, for Nexomania, Carbot has come out with a Nexomania Heroes of the Storm short. If you haven't seen it yet, you should, because it's really funny.
Yep. I don't want to spoil the ending, but it's good.
I have not watched that one yet, and I don't think I've watched the Anduin one yet either. I'm too behind.
I haven't watched the Anduin, but yeah, I'm with you.
Cool.
So definitely check that out. Of course, links in the show notes to both those links as well.
All right. Yeah. That is going to do it for this week's episode. We, of course, I think we got time for a game or so afterwards. But before we get to that, Multi, where can we be reached?
Oh, you can find us on Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and we've got a Patreon, all at Lords of the Storm, those various sites. Thanks again to anyone who's given any amount on Patreon, and it's no pressure, but we definitely appreciate you guys. You can find us in-game by typing /join space LOTS, or you can join our Discord for that kind of thing as well, www.bit.ly/lotsdiscord, or you can email us with feedback or questions, lordsofthestorm@outlook.com. And if you can take a quick second to throw up a little iTunes review or something like that, we'd really appreciate that kind of thing as well. It just actually, the more of those we get, the more eyes roll across the show and the more listeners we end up getting. So it's actually a huge help.
Yeah. You can also find us individually, myself on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all those things at GizmoZord, as well as Convert to Raid presents the Battlenet News. I'm not on every week, but a lot of weeks, and that is Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. Central. I am back into streaming mode. I know I say that a lot, but I am this time. Well,
no, you have been.
For now at least. So I've been streaming a lot of Heroes.
I've seen it.
The Discord keeps us posted.
Yeah, so if you guys want to check that out, feel free and hop by. It's cool seeing new faces in there, and I'm just at a time right now to where I have a lot of time to stream, so I'm doing it. So yeah, Multi, where can you be reached?
I can be found on Twitter at Multizord, and I'm also on another show called Hearth Casual with Ro from Realm Maintenance, also known as Brian. And this week is just one of the regular full episodes, so we're recording tomorrow night, and we're finishing up the Monster Hunt. I'm going over Hagatha and my experiences with her, as well as getting into some more discussions about some of the nerfs that just happened, and it's gonna be good. Just check it out. It's on Twitter at Hearth Casual.
And TBK.
You can find me on Twitter at TBKZord, and you can also find me over on Heroes Hearth, where I do articles for esports, interviews, and concepts. Most recently, as I talked about last week, my Arathi Basin map concept was a lot of fun, and I'm actually have had so much fun. I am working on more right now.
Ooh.
It is another Warcraft.
Um,
It's
I'm
not
intrigued.
a battleground. It's
That's
not a
what
battleground.
intrigues me. I want to hear.
Yeah, it's not a battleground.
it's Hellfire
So,
Peninsula, that stuff that they had going on there.
That was really fun at the
The
launch
towers.
of BC.
Yeah.
It was that was a ton of fun. But yeah, it is a Warcraft concept, and I will probably continue doing Warcraft map concepts until they give me a freaking Warcraft map.
Like, oh, you don't
So.
like this idea? Here's another one. You don't like this idea?
Yep.
Here's another one.
That's right.
I'm just gonna
Keep cranking them out until one comes out.
That's right.
What are
That's
you
right.
going to switch to after that? Please say Hearthstone.
I mean, you've had a really good one. So if you want to collaborate on a map concept or something, we could.
That's true.
We could
get that
totally
up
make
on-
that happen.
Yeah.
Heroes Hearth. Okay.
Yeah, and there's also some really cool Diablo map ideas I've got, because there's so much of Diablo that has yet to be explored from a map perspective. So that could be really fun.
I still want our Diablo Greater Rift PvE Brawl. I want that.
Oh, yeah.
That would be really awesome.
All right. That's going to do it for this week. We want to give a special thanks to our patron producer, Ouroboros Sword, for helping support the show, as well as Wicked Kitten in chat for running our giveaways. A shout out to Blizzard, and a big thanks for the codes, the chest today, and the sweet luchador masks. Until next time, we will see you all, same time, same place, next week, Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Central.
Enough. I shall do no more.
Bang, bang, boom.
Okay, so I'm